All right, operators, listen up. We're here to talk about one of the most powerful yet most neglected parts of your performance toolkit, sleep. Now, here at Optimal, we don't think of sleep as downtime. It's not rest. It's a force multiplier. It's a strategic weapon that directly impacts your ability to perform and survive. And that's the frame we're going to put around this entire discussion. Look, this quote nails it. We're talking about a biological protocol that crushes stress hormones, jacks up your recovery, and flat out makes you better at what you do. If this was some new supplement, you'd all be lining up for it. But it's not. It's just sleep. And it does all of this, naturally, for free. Okay, so let's start with a proper threat assessment. Before we can weaponize sleep, we have to understand the enemy we're up against, and that's sleep deprivation. We need to get a clear picture of the real, tactical cost of stepping off on a mission with a depleted internal battery. The intel is crystal clear, and trust me, the consequences are non-negotiable. So the obvious question is, what's the actual threshold here? How much is too little? Does one rough night really compromise the mission? Well, the numbers, they're probably going to surprise you. This isn't about pulling some crazy all-nighter. The degradation of your performance starts way sooner than you think. Here's our first piece of intel. Just 5 nights of less than 5 hours of sleep leads to a 20% drop in cognitive function. Now, what does that actually mean? It means you're operating at the equivalent of a 0.08 blood alcohol level. I want you to really think about that. You would never go on target after a few beers, but we routinely operate in a state that's functionally the exact same. And it just gets worse. This number, 50%, that's the percentage of on-the-job military accidents caused by being sleepy. Half of them. This isn't just about complex decision-making. This is about basic awareness. Lack of sleep creates a direct, immediate, and totally unnecessary risk to you and every single person on your team. Now we're getting into critical mission failure, an 86% increase in decision-making errors. In our line of work, one bad call can be catastrophic. Sleep deprivation fundamentally screws up your ability to assess a situation, make a decision, and act correctly when the pressure's on. And this is where it really hits home. A 220% decrease in your ability to identify and accurately engage enemy targets. Your number one weapon system gets degraded, not because of a malfunction, but because you didn't get enough sleep. The takeaway here couldn't be simpler. Lack of sleep makes you less accurate, slower, and way more likely to make a fatal mistake. You might be thinking, hey, I can get by on 6 hours, no problem. But just look at the price you pay for just 1 less hour a night. Physically, your immune system tanks, your testosterone drops, and your risk for all kinds of diseases just goes through the roof. And mentally, it's even worse. You're almost 5 times more likely to develop PTSD and over 11 times more likely to get depression. All for 1 hour. That is the margin for error. So here's the bottom line, laid out plain and simple. On the left, you've got a mission-ready operator, sharp, accurate, fast, with solid judgment. On the right, you have a combat-ineffective operator, basically drunk, with accuracy in the toilet, slow reactions, making tons of errors, and at a huge risk for PTSD. And the only thing separating these two states is sleep. Okay, so we've sized up the threat. We know what the enemy looks like. Now we pivot to the solution. We are going to stop treating sleep like a luxury and start treating it like mission-essential gear. We are going to weaponize your recovery and turn sleep into your most dependable tactical advantage. First, I want you to think of sleep as your armor. Just like your plate carrier protects you from incoming rounds, getting enough sleep protects your mind and body from breaking down internally. It literally reinforces your resilience, shielding you from the incredible stress of this job. And second, sleep is your ammunition. Your most important weapon is the one right between your ears, and sleep is what reloads it every single night. It's what fuels your reaction time, your accuracy, your ability to make the right call when it all goes sideways. Running low on sleep is no different than running low on ammo right before a firefight. All right, time for the actionable intel. We're going to lay out some standard operating procedures, SOPs. These are simple, repeatable things you can do to make sure your most critical asset is always maintained and ready for the mission. These are the fundamentals, okay? The basics of sleep hygiene. We start with consistency. Keep a strict schedule whenever the mission allows. Then we control our inputs. Cut out the performance killers like alcohol and caffeine close to bedtime. You gotta move every day, but don't go super high intensity right before you're trying to shut down. And finally, you have to program your brain. The bed is for sleep and sex. That's it. If you're lying there awake, get up, go to a dim area, and do something quiet until you feel sleepy again. So treat this like a nightly drill, a shutdown sequence for your body. 3 hours out, chow is done. Stop eating.
1 hour out, we begin light discipline. Dim the lights, get off the screens. That blue light from your phone is the enemy of sleep. Then start your physical cool down. Some light stretching can help lower your stress hormones, cut back on liquids so you're not up all night, and last, the mental offload. Write down your to-do list for tomorrow. Get it out of your head so you're not mission planning at 2 in the morning. Now, to really set up your sleep environment for success, just run the SLANTS protocol. It's a simple checklist. Surface: is your mattress and pillow helping or hurting? Light: you want it pitch black, total blackout. Air quality: keep it clean. Noise: silence it with earplugs or mask it with a white noise machine. Temperature: cool is key, somewhere around 65 to 68 degrees. And smell: a calming scent can help. Point is, control your environment and you'll control your recovery. Look, we all know the mission doesn't always give you a perfect 8 hours in a quiet, dark room. The situation on the ground dictates the sleep schedule, so we've got to have contingency plans for when things are less than ideal out in the field. And that brings us to the tactical recharge, what you'd call a nap. Your body has this natural, predictable energy dip in the afternoon, usually between 1 and 3 p.m. That's not you being weak. It's a biological rhythm that we can actually take advantage of for a quick performance boost. The protocol here is dead simple. Timing, somewhere between 1300 and 1500. Duration, you got to keep it under 30 minutes. Now, the reason for that is critical. You want to avoid waking up out of a deep sleep, because that's what makes you feel all groggy and useless. A short, sharp nap recharges the system without any of the negative side effects. You've probably heard this term sleep banking, so let's be really clear on what it is and what it isn't. You can preload on sleep by getting extra before you know you're going to lose it. It buys you a little more time before your performance completely falls off a cliff. But what you cannot do is prepay for a week of sleeping 3 hours a night. Think of it like overcharging a battery. It gives you a small buffer, but it's not going to stop the inevitable drain. When the stress is high, sleep is usually the first thing to go. So here's a quick toolkit for that. Journaling, just writing stuff down, can help offload that anxiety. That to-do list we talked about, it gives you a sense of control. Use some simple, focused breathing to decompress, and just declutter your immediate area. A less chaotic space can really help create a less chaotic mind. And finally, let's talk about your tactical sleep arsenal. These are specific tools and resources you can add to your loadout to start putting all this into practice right away. All right, check out the CBTI Coach app. It's great for building good sleep habits. Look up NSDR, or Non-Sleep Deep Rest, from Huberman Labs. It's a great way to restore energy when you can't actually sleep. There's even an algorithm called Be Alert that helps predict your performance and tells you when to use caffeine. And for anyone dealing with trauma, the Dream Easy app can help you manage nightmares. These are powerful tools, so use them. So I'm going to leave you with this one question. You meticulously clean your weapon. You check and recheck every piece of your gear before a mission. You would never, ever neglect the equipment that your life depends on. So, are you giving that same level of care and attention to maintaining your single most critical asset?